The alien in the fields, it was cold. The sky was gray, and wind moved slowly across the empty fields. Joel, a quiet farmer, stood on his porch, drinking hot tea. His old boots were muddy, and his face looked tired. The harvest season had ended early this year. The soil was dry, the crops had failed. Joel lived alone now. His wife had died 2 winters ago, and the world had changed since then. After the Galactic War, aliens had arrived, some peaceful, some dangerous. Most humans stayed away from them. Joel didn't care about politics. He just wanted peace, a simple life. But tonight, something strange was moving near the edge of his land. He narrowed his eyes. There's someone or something was in the field. Crawling, Joel grabbed his old rifle and walked slowly toward the shape. His steps were heavy, but quiet. The closer he got, the clearer he saw. It was a girl. No, not a girl, a female alien. Her body was thin like she hadn't eaten in days. Her skin was pale purple. Her clothes were torn rags. She was digging in the dirt with her hands, shaking. Joel pointed his rifle. "Hey, get off my land." The alien girl looked up. Her eyes were large, glowing soft silver in the fading light. She didn't run. She didn't attack. She fell to her knees, raising her arms in surrender. I not steal. I hungry," she said in broken English. "Please, feed me. I carry your burden. I work. Just food. Just tonight." Joel stood still. The wind blew harder. The girl dropped her head low, her long white hair covering her face. She was freezing. Her fingers were red and raw from the cold soil. He lowered his gun slowly. "Can you walk?" he asked. She nodded weakly. "Come with me," Joel said. She followed him without a word. Her steps were slow, like every move hurt. Inside the warm wooden house, Joel lit the fire and opened a can of beans. He placed them in a bowl and handed it to her. She grabbed it with both hands and started eating too fast, like someone who hadn't tasted real food in days. "Slow down," Joel said quietly. "You'll make yourself sick." She stopped for a moment, then nodded and tried to eat slower. Her eyes filled with tears. She looked at him like he was something she hadn't seen in a long time, a kind face. After eating, she sat by the fire, her arms wrapped around herself. She didn't speak much. Joel didn't ask questions. "You can sleep in the barn," he finally said. "There's straw. It's dry." She nodded again. Joel gave her a blanket, thick and warm. She took it like it was gold, holding it to her chest. "Name?" he asked softly. She didn't answer. He pointed to himself. "Joel." She looked at him, then pointed to herself and whispered, "Sela." "All right, Sela," Joel said. "No stealing. No lies. You work, I feed you. That's the deal." Sela nodded quickly. "Yes, work, any work." Joel led her to the barn. It smelled of old hay, but it was warm enough for one night. She lay down in the straw without complaint. Before closing the door, Joel looked at her one more time. She was already asleep. That night, Joel couldn't sleep. He sat near the window and stared at the barn. The wind howled outside. Something inside him felt strange. He had helped someone, a stranger, an alien. A week ago, he would have turned her away. But tonight felt different. He thought of her words again. "I carry your burden. Just feed me." No one talked like that anymore. Early in the morning, before the sun even rose, Joel heard sounds from the field. He walked outside and saw her, Sela, already working, pulling weeds, cleaning up the land, barefoot, hands dirty again. She didn't stop when she saw him. She only bowed her head and said, "I work, you feed." Joel said nothing. He just watched her, wondering who she really was, and what had made her so desperate. But one thing was certain. This girl wasn't just running from hunger. She was running from something much worse. And now, whatever that was, might come looking for her. Asterisk the next morning. The sun broke through the clouds like it hadn't in weeks. But the ground was still wet from the frost, and the air was sharp. Joel stepped outside, expecting silence. Instead, he heard soft movement, rhythmic, slow, but steady. He looked across the field. Sela was already working, barefoot. Her hands were red from the cold. She had a wooden bucket beside her, half full of stones she had picked from the earth. She didn't pause. She didn't look tired. She didn't even notice him watching. Joel rubbed the back of his neck. Most people, alien or not, would have slept in, especially after a night in a cold barn. But she was different. She hadn't even asked for breakfast out by noon. Joel brought out a small metal tray with bread, eggs, and a cup of warm broth. She stopped, standing perfectly still as he approached, her body tensing like a hunted animal. "I'm not here to hurt you," Joel said. "Food. For working." She blinked, then reached for the tray slowly, carefully, like it might vanish. Her fingers trembled. "Sit," Joel said, pointing to the big overturned barrel nearby. Sela sat. She held the cup of broth like it was something sacred. Then she drank. Fast. She didn't sip it like a guest. She drank it like she was dying, and this was the last cup she'd ever get. Joel watched her finish everything in under 2 minutes. She didn't leave a single crumb. "You always eat like that?" he asked. She paused, then wiped her mouth. "I forget. When I eat last." "You forget?" "I don't count days," she whispered. Joel didn't know what to say to that. She stood up again without a word and went back to work. Like nothing happened. Joel returned to the porch and sat in his chair. He didn't even touch his own lunch. The image of her, thin, wild, starved, was burned into his mind. She wasn't just hungry. She was hollowed out, like someone who had gone too long without kindness. That evening, he walked into the barn to check on her. She was sitting in the corner, wrapping her arms around her knees. Her eyes were wide open. She wasn't asleep. "You don't rest?" Joel asked. She shook her head. "Rest is not safe." His heart sank. "You're safe here." She didn't answer. Joel crouched beside her and handed her a thick wool sweater. "Wear this tomorrow. It'll be colder." Sela took it like it was made of diamonds. Then, for the first time, she whispered, "Thank you." Joel stood up slowly. "You're welcome." As he turned to leave, she spoke again. Her voice was almost a breath. "Do you believe in debt, human?" He paused. "What kind of debt?" She looked down. "Life debt." Joel leaned against the doorframe. "I believe in helping those who need it." Sela nodded slowly, her eyes glistening. "I carry your burden." "You already said that," Joel replied. She looked up. "I mean it." That night, Joel couldn't sleep again. He lay on his bed, eyes open, listening to the wind outside and thinking about her strange words. "I carry your burden." He didn't even know what that meant yet. But something told him it wasn't just about farm work. The next morning, before sunrise, Joel opened the barn door. Sela was already awake, sitting cross-legged, holding the sweater close to her chest. She stood when she saw him and bowed. "I ready." Joel pointed toward the east fields. "Let's work together today." Her eyes lit up for just a second. "Together?" He nodded. They worked side by side for hours. She didn't complain. She didn't slow down. She listened to every word he said, learning quickly. At noon, Joe brought her food again, this time more. Rice, dried meat, beans. She looked at it, confused. "All for me?" she asked. "Of course." She blinked, unsure. "Why?" "You earned it." Sela sat and began to eat, this time slower than before, but still with hunger in her eyes. Joel saw something else now, something beyond survival. This girl didn't just want to eat. She wanted to stay. But Joel still didn't know who she was. Where she came from. Or what kind of danger might be following her. He just knew one thing. whatever she'd been through. It wasn't over, and he was now part of it. Joel pushed open the barn doors as the pale morning light touched the frost-covered ground. He expected to see Sela asleep, but she was already gone. He turned his head and spotted her in the eastern field. The sweater he gave her hung loosely on her body. Her feet were bare again, muddy and cold. She was lifting heavy rocks, stacking them into a pile by herself. Joel walked out with 2 pairs of gloves. "You need to cover your hands." Sela stopped but didn't speak. She only glanced at him with tired, shining eyes. He held out the gloves. "You don't need to punish yourself to stay here." "I must show value," she said softly. "If not strong, you send me away." "I never said that," Joel replied. Sela looked at the dirt under her knees. Many others did. Joel didn't know who they were yet, but he was beginning to understand. This girl wasn't just a runaway. She had been used, traded, probably hurt, maybe worse. But still she worked, like her survival depended on every task. He crouched next to her. "Look, we're going to do this right. No more guessing. You tell me what you can do, and I'll give you tasks. In return, you get food, warmth, and safety." "That's the deal." She looked confused. "This fair?" Joel smiled slightly. "That's how I do things." After a long pause, she nodded. "I accept. I can clean, lift, fix tools. I know water lines. And I listen." Joel raised an eyebrow. "You listen?" "Yes. I hear many things others do not want heard." He didn't ask what that meant. Not yet. They spent the rest of the morning together. Joel showed her how to repair the broken fence by the back gate. She listened to every instruction like it was life or death. Her movements were fast but careful. She didn't speak unless spoken to. Even then, she only answered with the fewest words possible. By midday, she had already fixed 2 loose posts and patched a water pipe with the old tape Joel had forgotten he had. She worked better than most hired help he'd seen. "Where did you learn all this?" Joel asked. Sela was kneeling in the grass, tying wires around the base of a fence. "Different farms, different planets. Owners teach with pain." Joel felt a tightness in his chest. "That's not how things work here." She didn't reply. Just kept working. Later that afternoon, Joel brought out a simple lunch bread, apples, and some dried meat. He placed it beside her. This time, she didn't eat fast. She looked at him first. "May I?" "You don't have to ask," Joel said. She took the food slowly, chewing in silence. Then she surprised him. "You live alone?" Joel nodded. "Yes." "No." "Family?" "My wife's gone. Years now. No children." Sela didn't say sorry. She just nodded like she understood loss deeply. "That's why you take me?" Joel shook his head. "No, I took you in because you were starving. And because I could." She blinked. "Kindness without demand?" He looked into her eyes. "That's right." Her lips trembled slightly. Then she turned away quickly, as if afraid of her own feelings. That night, as the sky turned orange, Joel showed her how to lock the barn doors. They were old, but still strong. "You stay safe in here," he said. "No one comes around this far, but just in case." Sela nodded and stared at the large metal lock. "No cages," she whispered. Joel looked at her closely. "No cages here." She stepped back into the barn, wrapped in her blanket, and lay down in the straw. But before Joel could close the door, she said something that caught him off guard. "Will not run." He paused. "Why would you?" "Because here," she said quietly, "you gave me a deal, not a chain." Joel nodded. "Good night, Sela." She looked at him and said in a soft voice, "Good night, Joel." Back inside his house, Joel lit a lamp and sat by the window, watching the barn from a distance. The girl worked like someone trying to prove she belonged to the world. Like someone who had never been offered a simple place to rest. She didn't ask for money, didn't ask for protection. She only asked to work and to eat. But Joel couldn't shake the feeling that something was coming, because someone like Sela didn't just appear in the fields by accident. 3 more days passed. Sela worked from sunrise to sunset. She never asked for more food, never demanded anything, and never complained, even when her hands turned raw from the cold. She moved like a machine, quiet, careful, determined. But Joel knew better. Machines didn't flinch when someone raised their voice. Machines didn't sleep with their backs pressed against a wall, eyes wide open all night. And machines didn't cry silently when they thought no one was watching. Joel saw the tears one night, just for a second, when she sat alone by the back fence, staring at the stars. He didn't ask why, but the questions were building in his mind. Where did she come from? Why was she alone? And what had been done to her? The 4th morning began like the others. Joel made eggs and warm cornmeal. Sela sat at the table now. She still didn't speak much, but she accepted his food politely. You slept better last night, Joel said. Sela gave a small nod. The wind was quiet. Joel tried again. You said you were on other farms, on other planets. Were they all bad? She didn't respond. He waited a moment, then asked gently, Were you born in the colonies? No. Then where? Sela kept her eyes on her plate. She didn't blink, didn't move. Sela? She finally spoke, her voice low. Questions are dangerous. Joel leaned forward. Not here, they're not. You can tell me anything. She looked at him then, really looked. Her silver eyes weren't glowing. They were dull, empty. They said that too, before the chains. Joel's hands curled into fists, but he said nothing. I'm not like others, she continued. I was made to serve. Raised on cold stone. Fed rules, not food. Joel frowned. Made to serve? You mean bread? She nodded. Joel's stomach twisted. Some alien factions were rumored to breed servant classes, genetic farming, cloning, no freedom. Many denied it. He had never seen proof. Until now. No name was given, she added. Only number. I chose Sela later. It means dust. In my old tongue. Why dust? Because it is forgotten. Stepped on, light, but it stays. Joel felt something heavy in his chest. No one should be born into chains. I was, she said flatly. But now I am not. He wanted to ask more. He wanted to know what she had escaped from, who she was running from. But her face shut down like a closing door. So he let it go for now. Later, while they repaired the grain shed roof, Joel saw how easily Sela moved up the ladder. Her balance was perfect. She didn't fear heights. Didn't panic when the plank cracked beneath her foot. She simply jumped to the next one without hesitation. You've done this before, Joel said from the ground. Many times, she called down. Roof is safer. Owners don't climb. Joel was about to ask more, but Sela suddenly froze. Her ears twitched. She looked east, toward the road. What is it? Joel asked. She climbed down fast. Vehicle, 2 engines. Coming. This way, Joel squinted. In the distance, he saw a black dot moving slowly toward his farm gate. He felt a chill, not from the wind. He stepped onto the porch as the small hovercraft stopped near the front fence. 2 figures stepped out, tall, in long coats. Not human. Aliens. Joel walked down the path, calm but firm. Can I help you? One of the aliens spoke. His voice was cold. We're looking for something. Something that doesn't belong. Joel raised an eyebrow. You're going to have to be clearer than that. The second one pulled out a small display. A photo appeared. It was Sela. Hair dirty. Clothes torn. Chains around her wrists. Farm servant. Stolen property, the alien said. Escaped 2 cycles ago. Dangerous if unsupervised. Joel stared at the image, then shook his head. Never seen her. Both aliens stared at him. Reading his face. We will scan your land. the first one said. No, you won't, Joel replied. This is private property. They didn't move for a long moment. Then without a word, they returned to the hovercraft as it disappeared into the distance. Joel turned and rushed to the cellar. He opened the wooden door. Sela was crouched in the corner, hidden beneath old blankets and crates. She looked up with wide, terrified eyes. They came, she whispered. Joel nodded. But they're gone. She started shaking. They always come back. Joel knelt beside her. They called you property, I know. They said you were dangerous. I can be, if cornered. Joel stared at her. I don't care what they say, you're not going back with them. Sela looked like she wanted to believe him, but her voice was hollow. You don't understand, they don't stop. They have maps, codes, money, and power. Joel placed a hand gently on her shoulder. Then we'll find a way to make you disappear. Joel didn't sleep that night. He sat by the window with a shotgun across his lap, watching the road. The wind rustled the trees, and the barn creaked softly in the distance. But the real storm wasn't in the sky, it was building inside him. They had shown up without warning. They had Sela's picture. They knew what she looked like. And they would come back. She was still hiding in the cellar, curled beneath crates and sacks of old cornmeal. Joel had brought her food, but she barely touched it. Her eyes looked distant, like her mind had gone somewhere far away. At sunrise, Joel got to work. But this time, he wasn't just repairing fences. He dug out old equipment, signal blockers, motion sensors, even a worn-out identity scrambler from the war days. He didn't like to use tech, but Sela's safety came first. By mid-morning, Sela came out of hiding. She walked slowly, her head down. I can't stay, she said quietly. Joel looked up from the sensor he was mounting near the gate. You can, and you will. They'll come back, she whispered. Let them. They'll burn your crops, kill your animals, hurt you. Joel placed the tool down and stood up. Sela, I don't care if those men come with fire or guns. You're not going anywhere. She blinked, confused. Why? Because this farm doesn't run on fear. It runs on work, trust, and second chances. Sela looked at the dirt. Then I must be useful. More than before. You already are, Joel said. That afternoon, while checking the water lines near the back field, Joel spotted a strange shape moving at the edge of the woods. Not aliens this time, humans. Two men, wearing old coats, eyes sharp like wolves. Town folk. Joel walked over slowly. Can I help you? He asked. One of them, a tall man with a scar under his eye, nodded. You the one harboring that alien girl? Joel didn't react. Excuse me? The second man grinned. Word's out, some kind of runaway servant's been seen around here. Slavers want her back. I haven't seen anyone like that, Joel lied. Scar stepped forward. You? Sure. We were offered good credits to sniff her out. We got nothing against aliens, long as they're useful. But a broken one? That's trouble. Joel kept his face calm. You're trespassing. The second man pulled a small scanner from his pocket. We could check around a little, just to be sure. Joel raised his shotgun slowly. You could. Also leave before something gets broken, like your scanner. Scar smirked. Careful, old man. There are laws. There are also shovels, Joel said flatly, and deep holes in these fields. The two men hesitated. Then Scar spat on the ground and turned away. Not worth it. She'd be found anyway. Trash like that always is. Joel stood there as they disappeared into the trees. He didn't move until they were completely gone. That night, Joel sat with Sela in the barn. They're not just bounty hunters, he told her. There are others now. Town men, greedy types. Word spreading. Sela wrapped her arms around herself. I bring danger, you didn't bring it. They follow anyone they think is weak. She looked at him with fear. They won't stop. Then we'll make them. She stared, At him. You fight for me? Joel didn't blink. Yes. Sela shook her head. I'm not worth blood. Joel leaned forward. You're worth more than what they say. You know what I see when I look at you? Someone still standing after being broken. That's rare, that's strong. For the first time, Sela didn't look away. Her silver eyes stared into his. No. One said that to me before. Joel gave a small smile. Then it's about time. The next morning, Joel began preparing a false identity chip. He hadn't used his old war tech in years, but the gear still worked. Sela watched carefully, learning, memorizing. Can this hide me? She asked. It'll make you harder to trace. Won't stop people from talking, though. Sela touched the edges of the chip. I was born a number. This gives me something. More. It gives you choice, Joel said. You can be whoever you want now. She held the chip like it was a key. Then I choose to stay. He looked at her, surprised. You don't have to. I want to, she said firmly. I'm done running. If they come, I fight with you. Joel nodded slowly. Then, we're not just farmer and helper anymore. She tilted her head. What are we? He smiled. We're partners. Asterisk, the rain came hard that night. Cold, steady, and without mercy. Joel stood on the porch, staring at the dark fields, the shotgun. Still resting by the door. Thunder rolled across the hills. The wind howled through the old wood beams, but the house stood strong just like the girl inside. Sela sat near the fireplace, wrapped in a thick wool blanket. Her silver eyes glowed softly in the flickering firelight. She wasn't shivering anymore, but her body looked small on the floor, like someone still unsure if she belonged in warmth. Joel placed a fresh cup of hot water in front of her. No tea, he said. Ran out, she nodded. Hot is enough. For a long time, neither of them spoke. Only the sound of rain on the roof filled the silence. But then Sela spoke, not in fragments, not in broken words, but in full, quiet sentences. I was taken at birth, she said. Not by parents, by buyers. I was one of many bred to work soil on Raxari farms. We were trained in tools, obedience, fear. Joel sat across from her, still. I was sold at 12 to a mining station, burned my hands, got replaced. Traded. Again, then again. No name, just number, X144 Delta. We were not people. Just things that moved cargo. Her hands gripped the edge of the blanket tightly. I escaped last year when a buyer crashed his ship. He died. I crawled out. I didn't know where I was. Just kept walking, hiding, surviving. Joel didn't interrupt. I found a broken freighter. With no pilot, hid inside, pressed buttons. It flew for one night before power died. Then I landed here, on your world. I thought maybe someone would just kill me quick, but instead... She looked up at him. You gave me soup. Joel's throat tightened. He leaned forward, resting his arms on his knees. I don't know what they did to you, he said, voice low. But no one deserves that life. Sela nodded slowly. That's why I didn't speak. I thought if I said too much, it would all come back. The chains, the commands, the collars. She pulled down the neck of her sweater slightly. Faint scars ran across her collarbone, circular, metallic burns. Shock collar, she said quietly. One word spoken wrong. Pain. Joel looked at the fire. He wanted to smash something. Burn something. Dig up every one of those people who ever treated her like this. You're free now, he said firmly. I mean that. Sela tilted her head. Freedom feels strange. That's normal. I don't know what to do with it. You live, he said. You breathe, you eat, you grow. You don't owe anyone anymore. She was silent again. Then she whispered, But I want to owe you. Joel frowned. Why? Because kindness should not be free, she said. It should be rewarded. Joel shook his head. No, that's not how this works. You don't pay me with your body or your silence. You're not here because I expect something back. You're here because it's right. Her eyes softened. A tear slid down one cheek, and she quickly wiped it away. I don't know how to be anything but useful. You already are, he said. But you don't have to prove yourself anymore. That night, Joel made up a bed in the guest room. He laid out clean sheets and left the door slightly open. Seela stood outside it for a long time, unsure. Is this really for me? She asked. Yes, no straw, no dirt, no chains, just sleep. She stepped inside slowly, like the room might vanish if she moved too fast. She touched the sheets with her fingers, as if testing if they were real. Joel stood in the doorway. You're safe, Seela, I promise. She turned to face him, and for the first time, she smiled small, but real. Thank you for seeing me. Joel nodded and closed the door gently behind him. He walked back to the porch and stood in the rain, letting it wash over his skin. She had finally spoken. Not just with words, but with trust. And now he knew, no matter what came next, he would protect her with everything he had, even if it cost him everything. The days grew warmer, the skies cleared, and for the first time in months, Joel's farm began to feel alive again. Seela wasn't just working now, she was living. She laughed quietly. When the goat tried to eat her sweater, she planted seeds in neat, perfect rows with care, not fear. And sometimes, when she thought Joel wasn't looking, she would sit in the sun with her hands in the dirt, just feeling it like the ground itself was something new to her. But the memory of the hunters still lingered. They hadn't returned. Not yet. But that didn't mean they were gone. One morning, Joel found her by the back fence, staring at the long road. They will return, she said calmly. Joel stood beside her. Maybe, but we'll be ready. Seela looked at him. If they find me, they'll try to take me back. They won't. If they try to hurt you, Joel placed a hand on her shoulder. Seela, listen to me. You're not my burden. You're my choice. I want you here. She blinked. Why? Because you're more than what they made you. You're strong. You're honest. And you still believe in good things, even after all that's happened to you. Seela's lips trembled, but she nodded. Later that day, Joel gave her a gift. It was small, wrapped in a cloth. She opened it slowly. Inside was a necklace. Just a simple wooden pendant, shaped like a leaf. It's nothing fancy, Joel said. I carved it when I was younger. Gave one to my wife when we married. Seela held it gently. Then, I shouldn't take this. No, Joel said. You should. It means something here. You're part of this place now. Seela stared at it for a long time. Then she tied it around her neck. I will never forget this, she said. That evening, while they fixed the barn roof together, Joel heard a low hum in the distance. His eyes narrowed. Ship, Seela froze. Then, Joel grabbed his scope and climbed to the upper loft. A small black hovercraft hovered above the trees, moving slowly, scanning. It's not the same one as before, he said. But it's looking for something. Seela's body tensed. They're searching the area. Joel looked at her. We'll use the tunnel. Beneath the barn was a narrow tunnel system Joel had built years ago during raider season. It led to an old bunker in the hills, hidden under brush and stone. They packed light, just food, water, and the identity chip Joel had built for her. Seela hesitated, then grabbed Joel's old hat and placed it on her head. You okay? He asked. I'm ready, she said. They moved quickly, silent through the tunnel, and emerged hours later in the hills. The bunker was dusty but safe. Joel sat down, out of breath. We'll wait it out here. A day. Maybe two. Seela sat beside him. You left your farm, for me. I left a building, Joel said. I didn't leave home. You're my home now. Her eyes widened. "I don't understand," she whispered. "You don't have to," he said gently. "You just have to stay." They spent the night in silence, shoulder to shoulder. In the morning, the ship was gone. Joel walked back into the field alone, first to check. All clear. When he gave her the signal, Sela ran toward the house, but this time, not like someone running from something. She ran like someone running toward it. Later, as they sat on the porch watching the sun go down, Sela turned to him. "I used to think survival meant hiding. Being quiet, being invisible." Joel looked at her. "And now? Now I think survival is being seen and choosing who sees me." Joel smiled. "Well, I see you clearly." "And I see you," she whispered. They sat in peace. No chains. No commands. No fear. Just the quiet sound of wind through the crops. And the feeling of two lives no longer lived alone. As the stars came out above, Sela rested her head lightly on Joel's shoulder. "I will still carry your burdens, Joel," she said softly. He placed his hand over hers. "And now, Sela, I carry yours too."